Don't miss the 4 resin base manufacturers you need to know and what's good about each one.
Spiky bits.
Welcome back, Hobby Maniacs. I'm Baer, and today we are going to take a look at the 4 big resin base makers out there. Now, these folks have been around for a number of years, and one of them is probably the originator of the resin base, you could call it craze, I suppose, back in the early 2000s. But each one has things they're good at and things that they're not so good at. So if you're looking or you have a particular need for your hobby and your army, this may narrow down your path to help you get more for your hobby dollars. Micro Art Studios is the originator of the resin base craze. They started out in the early 2000s, and they're pretty much the template for what all of the other resin base manufacturers out there follow. Now, they are out of Poland. You can order direct from their site. It is going to take a little while to get in, but there are some distributors here in America that you can order through on different websites and such. It's just a little convoluted, and they change from year to year, so I don't really have a good list for you, unfortunately. And let me be clear, these 4 manufacturers we're going to talk about here over the next 10 minutes or so, I don't want to say that there isn't any other resin base manufacturers out there that are of note. These are just the ones I'm most familiar with that I have used their bases in my armies. I know of Dragonforge, for instance, that GMM swears by, but I've never used any of his stuff, and I don't know much about him, so I can't really talk conversationally or anything like that. So just keep that in mind as we're talking here today. So Micro Art Studio, again, huge in Europe. They have a site with all sorts of terrain features, board games. Now they're getting into Legion. They've got acrylics. They've got it all pretty much. But like I said, a little hard to get in America, but their products are top notch. Literally been using them for almost 15 years. Great stuff. Now here is all the different bases they offer, and you've probably seen me talking about the Chaos bases before because of my whole Demon armies on those, but they have a ton of different offerings here. But just to show you the stuff that we normally talk about, is here's those Chaos bases, and you can see slowly over time they are adding. They've got 32 millimeters now, and they are adding more to the line, like the Dreadnought or the Dread Knight size base, the 120s and the 50s and stuff, but they're still not up to par with all the different oval sizes and things like Titan bases, along with even 80 and 100 mil ovals. So that's kind of where they fall flat, but for their quality and their design, they're pretty much top notch, and they have some of the most forward-thinking and groundbreaking designs out there, in my opinion. So this is probably the best way to pick their stuff up on shop.microartstudio.com, where you can just do a Google search for Micro Art Studio. Their products all come blister carded like you see here, and a lot of times they're going to be individually priced, but they do have barcodes, so if you're looking to stock them, maybe in your game store or recommend them to a game store, that's probably something easy to do here. So they're carded and they're easily protected. You can see here they got the good quality resin. I can't pop this out because maybe I can, just to give you an idea of the quality. And I like that they have the little sponge, so you can use this to actually do different effects, resin effects and things. But here's just an idea. Now they do combine their resin a bit, so sometimes you'll see some different colored resin in there. I think that's what that is. Can't really tell. It looks like there was just a different color of resin in there. Sometimes I've gotten some of their bases and it had some swirlies of some end of batch resin, which is fine as long as they have the appropriate time there. But you can see all the detailing is nice and crisp. Got the cutouts right there. More importantly, the undercuts are all very well done. A little minor bubbling, but that's just something that happens with resin. If you have some Vallejo plastic putty or something like that, you can easily fix that. And paint wise, I mean, they look great painted up. This is my whole Demon army. It's basically based like this. We have a tutorial on spikybits.com on how to do this paint scheme right here. And from big to small, it doesn't matter. Their quality's good, and it looks tight across all of my demons. So that's why I love Micro Art Studios. They have some really cool designs, and for the most part, I can equip my whole army with their bases that are offered still. Next on our list is relative newcomer within the last 10 years or so, Secret Weapon Miniatures, that does not just resin bases, but also all sorts of hobby supplies you'll need when you have some free time and want to nug out some bases. So secretweaponminiatures.com is the place to go for a good large variety of resin bases, but not just resin bases. I mean, you can see they pretty much have everything you need. They got washes, they got weatherings, they've got their own acrylics now. Their acrylics are actually pretty dope. They've got terrain for RPG, a lot of different accessories, which I'm about to show you as well. So they're a very well-rounded company that produces everything themselves. So can't say enough good things about that, right? The biggest beef I have with them is something that you're going to see here once we start clicking through the bases. And they also have rounded lip, beveled sizes, display-based plinths, all sorts of objective markers, all those things. They pretty much got it all. And it's easy to find their stuff because you can either use the categories on the left or the category stuff in the middle, and then you can, drill down by type, so to speak. Silent Halls is their newest type of base that just came out in the past week or so. And then they have beveled blanks too. So if you really want to kind of make something that isn't currently offered, that's kind of a patch, like a get you through sort of thing, till maybe perhaps they offer it. So you might be able to break up some of your old bases or kind of get creative. Or in the case of that I'm in right now, because I actually use their corpse field bases on my, which I'm about to show you, on my Death Guard mans, you can see here that they don't have the full offerings. They kind of skip from 60 mil to the 95 by 120s and then kind of work on up to the larger sizes. But yep, they still haven't hit that 80 millimeter round, which is what I need for my Mythic Blade Haulers, which is no big deal because check this out. They have these accessory packs, which I was talking about, which you can do, and I'm going to show you here in a second, which you can always get to from the front here. So if you're trying to kind of dress up your bases, you can get these sacks of skulls, sacks of corpses, human skeletons, all sorts of things. But fortunately, the corpses are what makes the corpse field bases themselves. So I'm just going to get some 80 mil blanks, and I'm going to get some sack of corpses and a little green stuff, and I should be good to go for the most part. So again, when it comes to all of the sizes and shapes, they don't have quite every one in every design yet, but they do have a large, robust variety. Everything is ready for retail, so if you're looking to stock it in your store, you don't have to worry about that. It's got barcodes, SKU numbers, all of the things right there. And for the most part, it's good to go. It's got all your warnings and things on the back. Now here's those blanks I was talking about from a Mythic Blade Haulers, and here's the little sack of corpses. So I'm going to cut those up and put them in there and do a little bit of green stuff putty work, because you can see on these bases here where they actually kind of put a little bit of, I don't know, I guess a little corruption and little tendrils and just a little bit of general putty work, which for the most part is pretty easy to do and kind of gets those creative juices going, which I don't mind at all. So here's kind of how the bases look. This is some of my Death Guard right here, and you can see once you kind of do them up in well, this is a darker color, and what I like about it is that there's room to put resin in there, so in that which they actually sell, and I have it handy right here. The realistic water effects are super easy. You just kind of spoon or ladle this into a base, and in small layers. You don't want to get too crazy with it, but you can kind of see here how it'll look eventually. I airbrushed this up as a test fig just to kind of have some glowy, but also a little bit of I don't know, a little bit of corruption down there, and you can see the clear resin. Definitely looks cool. I'm not sure I like this effect, or I'm going to do it on the rest of the models, but I thought for a test figure it was pretty cool. So it kind of gives you an idea of what kind of different effects you can actually do with these corpse field bases right here. And then without a model on it, because one of my characters snapped off, this is kind of what it looks like. So you can see where the texture down in there and all of the resin work that they've done. And then, of course, my guy snapped off, so he's not there anymore. He left behind some of his resin or plastic. I forget which guy even had in there. So lots of room to actually position your models too, which I definitely like. And a relative newcomer on the resin-based market over the past few years is Elrik's Hobbies. So elrikshobbies.com is the site you can check out all of their base offerings, but not just bases. They have Scale 75 paints. They have all sorts of different things on here, from terrain to Batman miniatures. They even have bits bags. You name it, they've got it. It'll help you with your hobby. But what we're going to talk about today is their base offering. Now you can just jump right into model bases right up here to pull up their whole catalog here. Now some stuff is sold out and I'm not sure if they're bringing it back, but they have a lot more offerings than you would think. And the best thing about all their offerings, which I'm going to show you the ones that we're going to be using for our Titans in Titanicus here in a second. I thought they were, yeah, here they are, Shattered Terrace. The best thing about Elrik's Hobbies, and they go hard in the paint. They're on top of the hobby. They know what's coming. They know what's coming out. They get ahead of it. They get some designs. They have some cool ideas, maybe inspired by things they see out there. But look at all the base offerings. They literally have every base offering there is. And I'm not sure about the new 150 mil round or oval buggy base yet, but for the most part, they have every size. I've never needed a size and they not have it, which is super, super admirable. And the prices are probably the most affordable out there, that's for sure. Now, it's no secret I like these guys. I've been friends with them for years, but that doesn't mean that if they put out a bad product, I would talk about it still. You got to have a good product for me to talk about you. And, of course, you know, getting in my hot little hands definitely helps too. So this is a mix of review bases and bases I purchased myself for my own miniatures here. These are going to be for Titanicus, and you can see one of the innovative features that you won't find anywhere else is the ability to separate, put a little bit of blue tack in here, and then put your flight stand in here like this. And what's going to happen is that you can store your miniatures a little bit easier instead of taking up all this space in a foam tray, which I thought was pretty neat. And their stuff's definitely inspired, for the most part, sometimes by what they see on the market. Like this is very similar to a Games Workshop Shadespire or Warhammer Underworlds base. So you never know what these guys are going to come out with, but chances are it definitely won't suck, and it'll be pretty dope and groundbreaking as well. Now, let me give you an idea what some of their bases look like. Some of the miniatures we've done here. Here are my Custodes. In here you can see, I think this is the Cyberpunk base. Ooh, looks like he fell off his base and I had to re-glue him. You're not supposed to see that, but there you go. You can definitely tell. A very good looking base with a little dry brush. And like I said, they have all those crazy sizes. Who has a 100 mil Cyberpunk base for a Telemon Dreadnought? Elrik's Hobbies, that's who. And last but certainly not least is relative newcomer Magnet Baron. You can find Magnet Baron's offerings over on themagnetbaron.com. And not only does he have new bases that I'm about to show you and movement trays, which are pretty dope, but he also has magnets, lots and lots of magnets, and it looks like they're on sale right now too, and that's not too bad, $3.99 for pre-magnetized bases. But maybe more importantly, and something that really doesn't pertain to this video, is the ability to have magnetic flight stand configurations and magnetizing kits for a lot of different game systems and also models out there, which you can kind of see all right here. So make sure you check out the site because there is way more than what I'm about to show you. So where Magnet Baron's offerings differ from the other three manufacturers I just showed you is the fact that you can literally do whatever you want with these base offerings here. He now has a resin base that comes pre-magnetized, which is kind of huge. Because when you attach them to your existing cases, maybe you have a Table War case, maybe you have a Magna Rack case from Battle Foam, or you have these new Ferris little movement trays from Magnet Baron himself, whatever design you put on top, you know, whether it's pumice or whether you use some of the secret weapon, you know, corpse fields or something like that, or whatever basing material you actually put on top, you don't have to worry about having to drill out a magnet and then attaching it to something else, which is another laborious part of actually basing your miniatures. And plus, they have the added benefit of snapping right into place on these movement trays right here, because of course in Warhammer and Age of Sigmar, there is no templates, there is no penalty to being this close to each other, except for maybe saving a little time on the battlefield and setting up and such too, which is pretty crazy. And even if you don't get these pre-magnetized acrylic bases, you could always use, you know, these new Ferris movement trays just to move your stuff around the table. And I think these are great offerings, and they offer probably the most potential, the most flexibility out of any offering out there from any manufacturer, because you literally do it yourself. These are the raw ingredients and you just make whatever you need. So I hope you enjoyed our look at 4 resin-based manufacturers that you should know about, and the differences and perhaps the strengths or the benefits between each. They're all great manufacturers. Been dealing with them for as many years as they've been around, and I can't say enough good things about them. But again, use this as a guide to perhaps find other base manufacturers out there that I might not even know about or have never interacted with through all these years as well, because there's plenty out there. There's a ton of dope designs, and the hobby is just rising with the tide year after year after year. So that's it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can be the very first to like and comment on all our videos.
Spiky bits.